Ladies and gentlemen, this is the former CEO of Silicon Valley Bank. Now, when the bank collapsed, I was reading that all of these top executives were from failed banks like Washington Mutual and Goldman Sachs. And it's amazing how you can be a failure at a bank and still shift over to another bank and still get to be CEO or some sort of bank executive. Only in America will they do some idiot mess like that. So he wants everybody to know that he is sorry. He is sorry for what happened. The CEO of Silicon Valley Bank, he's the former CEO now. His name was Gregory Becker. That's who you're looking at right now. And when they bailed out Silicon Valley Bank, they threw out all of the executives because they felt they caused the whole thing. And when I read the stories after the bank collapsed, they said these people literally sat there and did nothing. They literally did not do their job. That's why this bank collapse happened. They were just sitting in these big, cushy positions, collecting these outrageous, astronomical paychecks, and was not doing their job. But they call us lazy, right? Now that's lazy. That is real true lazy. So, former chief executive officer of failed Silicon Valley Bank plans to tell Congress on Tuesday, which was today, that no bank could have survived the unprecedented deposit flight, which led to its closure by federal regulators and raised questions about the health of the U.S. financial system. There are financial analysts that are saying banking is far from out of trouble in America. It's in trouble. So, Gregory Becker, who's in the picture, was ousted as CEO 2 days after Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. He was thrown out of his position. So, he wants to warn the federal regulators that the bank needed to improve its internal management and control. So y'all were sorry at doing your job. That's what led to all of this. And he will defend the top executives against charges of incompetence, but that's exactly what it was, y'all. That's exactly what it was. They were saying those people were doing all kinds of things on their computer that was non-work related, because when the bank collapsed, they went in there and took everything out of there. So they got a hold of the computers and laptops and everything they were using, and they said there was an awful lot of activity of non-work going on among these top executives. And it was also saying that when employees, lower level employees, were complaining about certain things, they were being ignored. Wow. So his testimony comes 3 weeks after the Federal Reserve review of the bank collapse, castigated by its board and director and their executive teams for failing to manage their risks. So they didn't do their job. I mean, you can sit there and try to say, oh, we did what we could. Mm-mm. From what I'm understanding, that is not true. So, early in March, what Becker's written statement calls rumors and perceptions about SVB health spread online. The bank lost $42 billion in deposits in a single day. Customers requested withdrawals of an additional $100 billion for the next day, which proved to be that was the bank's last breath. until, of course, they were rescued. Over those 2 days, the bank suffered $142 billion in actual and requested withdrawals, multiple of previous large bank runs. Yes, because that's when I was going over those videos with y'all where a lot of people that had their accounts with small banks were shifting over to the big mega banks. And that's still going on. There is still a lot of money in America being moved from bank to bank since the banking collapse back in March. It has not let up. All right. So they saw $19 billion leave when Washington Mutual over 16 years ago collapsed. So people did a bank run even then. And he goes on to say, I do not believe that any bank could survive a bank run. Well, it is what it is. There's a lot of banks still going through that now. These small banks are literally begging people to come and open up, bank accounts because they've lost so many customers. And this is nationwide. This is going on where so many people left these little banks. Becker links the bank's failure to the government spending and Federal Reserve interest rate hikes. The government stimulus in response during the pandemic pumped nearly $5 trillion of new deposits into commercial banks, while the Fed's near zero interest rates left SVB with a few options to deploy the new funds other than to invest them in low rate government securities. According to him, this is according to what he said in his statement. So the bank grew to $212 billion in assets by the end of 2021, almost 3 times of what it held 2 years earlier. So once SVB topped $100 billion in assets, it drew increased regulatory scrutiny. SVB hired several experienced executives from institutions like Citigroup and Bank of America to strengthen its risk asset team while conducting a search for a new chief risk officer. And they said these posts still remain vacant, even after they got bailed out by the US federal government. But, and the feds are still running this bank to this very day. So, they're saying it was a lot of things. It was the interest rates along with inflation that quickly caused their security, the government securities, to rapidly lose their value. So Becker also defended his annual compensation of nearly $10 million. Can you imagine that? This man got $10 million annually, and he failed in doing his job. Y'all just think about that. How many of us get the opportunity to make $10 million? That's privilege all out on display. $10 million annually for being the CEO of SVB. Privilege. That's all it is. This is big time privilege. So, Joe Biden called on Congress to give federal regulators greater authority to recover compensation from executives at failed banks. So he's trying to take these big astronomical salaries that they got away from them. That's what Joe Biden is doing. Mm-mm-mm. And they said Becker sold $2 million in shares 2 weeks before the bank collapsed. Yeah, he was trying to get as much as he could out of there because he saw what was coming. So he made an appearance on Capitol Hill in hearings they were having by the federal regulators. And of course, they dragged him. They had very harsh words to say to him about the entire failure of SVB. And the impact is still technically being felt. So they're also holding a hearing for the president of Signature Bank. In fact, they already did that president just 11 days before Becker. So y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. I think it's a bad business decision to drag people that came from a failed institution to run your bank. I think they made a serious mistake doing that. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.